Welcome to Recovery Inspired Hope. And today we're doing a very special episode on recovery and why recovery in the criminal justice system is always the solution. And today I have two very good friends of mine. I have Jeffery Jackson from Jackson Brubaker Law Firm, who is a recovery advocate and has an amazing heart and passion for people with substance use disorder. And my very good friend, Sarah Corley, who's the executive assistant for Acceptance Recovery Centers right here in Athens, Georgia. And so, Jeffrey, tell me a little bit about how long have you been an attorney for?
I've been an attorney now for about 3 years, practicing criminal defense, a lot of appointed cases, and I've represented the majority of my clients have been indigent, so I have a lot of experience in the jails, dealing with their families, and it's provided me a lot of perspective on the very important need for recovery.
Mm-hmm. And so you, in your experience in 3 years, have you seen a lot of people be successful in recovery?
I've seen a lot of people be very, very successful going into some sort of long-term recovery program. If these people are provided the right tools, right support, the success rate can be very, very high.
Do you think that the criminal justice system is good at working together with the recovery treatment providers to give the opportunity for recovery?
The courts can be good at working together with the family, the individual that needs recovery, and other persons involved in the process. And oftentimes the courts are very successful in facilitating recovery for those in need. However, there are also often times where the courts don't work together and it does not provide a positive outcome for the person that needs recovery.
So sometimes the courts are not supportive of recovery, you're saying?
It's not that they're not supportive of recovery, but the means that the courts use to, I guess, basically enact the recovery and try and help that person with any issues with substance abuse is not always successful, because oftentimes courts will take a black and white approach to recovery. They don't look at the individual. They look at kind of the rules and regulations that they have on paper when there's some kind of issue going on, and they try and fit that individual story into the guidelines that they're provided, and that just doesn't work. And in those situations, that's when, typically there's going to be a negative impact on the person that needs recovery and the family of that person.
And Sarah, what can you say about that?
As a product of the judicial system, I can say after about 14 years of active addiction, finding a life in long-term recovery is what saved me. I was able to gain back a life that's successful. I'm a productive member of society. I have my children back. These things were not from incarceration. It was from being provided with an opportunity to find recovery and learn how to live again.
So we are all on the same page here that recovery over incarceration is the solution. And how do we all work together with the court system? How do we as peers support, the defense attorneys, the prosecutor, the district attorneys, the judges? How can we work together to better walk in the solution of recovery?
I think one of the best steps would be to show the court, for each person that's needing recovery, going through the court process, going through the court system, whether it be new charges, a probation violation, whatever it is. I think it's very important that the court, probation, any other person involved understands, again, that each person's an individual. That again, there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. You can never approach this that way. If you do, it's going to be likely failure after failure after failure. So it's very important that the court sees an individual for who they are, what they've been through, their specific needs, and kind of tailor everything to that. I think would be one of the most useful things to enabling somebody to proceed to recovery.
And, I know there's even a little bit of a stigma over court mandated recovery. And we were talking about this in an earlier interview that, some people, in the rooms might be like, they're just here to get their paper signed. They're just here to fulfill these requirements, and then they're going to go back to the, old behaviors. What can we say about that, Sarah?
I think that sometimes being court mandated is a tool. It's like a stepping stone. It's the path that we have to take, until we're able to make those decisions and choices for ourselves. Sometimes we need somebody to give us that push. And it gives us a routine. It teaches us things that we did not know before. So that stigma over being court mandated, like sometimes that's what we need.
And I completely agree with that. I think that court mandated treatment can be a very useful tool. For example, you have somebody that needs the recovery, they want it, but they don't know how to approach it, and they don't know how to be successful in that program. And if the court mandates that, for example, if the court says 2 years in prison suspended upon a successful completion of a 12-month program, those 2 years right there give you the motivation to go through the program and want to be successful and want to make the change, because if you don't, you're going to have a consequence. So I do think that court-mandated treatment can be a very, very useful tool in allowing the success of recovery.
It resets a habit as well. It takes so long for us to continue to do the same things, but once we are court mandated, then we have this opportunity to build a new routine, to build new habits, and it becomes second nature. Like, this is what we do now.
Right. I mean, I can say for myself, I remember, wanting something different so badly. I wanted a new life. I wanted to do something different. I knew I needed to do something different, but I did not know how to do it. I didn't know how to live clean and sober and as a productive member of society. I didn't know how to, go out and I have to go apply for a job, and I have to dress appropriately to go be presentable to apply for a job. And, I have to make sure that I eat 3 times a day, and I have to, take a shower and wash my hair. You know what I mean? Like, when we get stuck in our substance use disorder, all of those things really just leave us. And I remember for me going into a program at a sober living facility that was a 12-month treatment program, the women in there who were all had the same goals that I did, wanted to be reunited with their children, wanted to be mothers, wanted to get a job, wanted to be able to be independent and be clean and be sober. Without being in that structured environment, I would never have been able to be successful and be where I am today. Being a certified, peer specialist for addictive disease with the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse, being able to be involved with a nonprofit, having my own business, being a taxpayer, getting married, all of these things, like being a mother. Like, I could never have done all this without being in a structured treatment program with other people who were like-minded, going toward the same goals.
Right. And my experience was quite the same. I had to go into a sober living environment for 6 months, and I saw women in recovery who had something that I wanted. So I started basing my life off of that and making choices that they were making because I wanted what they had. So being in that structured environment where I had to sign in and out and be accountable for all of my time, provide that I was staying clean and sober and just accomplishing goals, setting those smart goals that I could meet. It built this life for me, and that connection I built in my community has been just amazing. It was the opposite of my addiction, is that connection.
And I think that all of this is something that the courts should consider. Is you can't just tell somebody, go get treatment, go get clean, go get sober, because a lot of these people that need the treatment, need to get sober, want to get sober, they've never learned, the proper routines, the proper coping habits, coping mechanisms. They don't know this, so you can't just tell somebody to go get clean and expect them to do it. They have to learn. They have to be trained how to do it, and that's what recovery is for. And it'll provide those tools to the people that need it, because without it, you're just setting somebody up for failure if you just tell them to get clean and, don't give them the tools they need to be successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to my two very special guests. And we hope that this video has educated and informed you on recovery being the solution in the criminal justice system and some ways that we can all work together to make the solution possible.